Content warning. This episode contains graphic discussions of physical and sexual abuse, including child sexual abuse. Listener discretion is advised. He was the 45th and now serves as the 47th president of the United States. He's also in the unredacted Epstein files over 1 million times. With credible allegations of heinous assault being removed and covered up, will the former reality TV star ever be brought to justice? This week's episode is the Trumpstein Files. Sinisterhood. I mean, we had to name it like that because it's like whenever someone sings a song, it's like featuring, but at some point it becomes a duet. You know?
Yeah. It's like Kenny Loggins didn't just sing along.
Yeah.
With On Islands in the Stream.
Yeah.
He was
Kenny Rogers.
He was a full on part of it, right?
Exactly. When you hand the mic to Dolly and she hands it back to you,
yeah.
I think, I do want to hear the Kenny Loggins version though. Did
I say Loggins? I meant Rogers.
I know, but I want to hear the Kenny Loggins version.
Oh.
It sounds way better.
Kenny Loggins.
Highway to the Islands in the Stream. It's a fast way to get there though.
Oh man. Well, Loggins and Rogers, either of them I would vote for over this sack of shit. And it's crazy to hear that intro.
Yeah.
It just sounds like you threw a bunch of words in a blender and then just like magnetic poetry style, put them all together.
No, I thought that.
He's a reality TV star. He's been the 45th and 47th, which doesn't normally happen.
Rarely.
And he's like a huge player in what is the largest child sex trafficking ring ever to exist.
Yeah, an influence peddling ring. It's super fascinating. The differences between operations in an average, what we think of as sex trafficking, human and labor trafficking ring versus this separate type of crime, which is this elite trafficking. And when people are vetting these files, I think often they're mistakenly looking for hallmarks of participation in an average sex trafficking scheme, right? Like Donald Trump wasn't a pimp. They didn't pay money to do these things. But there's a peer-reviewed article we put in the show notes that's from the Journal of Deviant Behavior that discusses that the influence is the currency. So when you see a journalist like Michael Schellenberger today, who we've cited his work in the past and formerly respected him, today said, oh, this is a witch hunt. Kathy Rumler having to quit her job at Goldman Sachs is a witch hunt. Leon Black having to quit his job, it's a witch hunt. Shut the fuck up, first of all, because it is not a witch hunt. Their existence in this circle provided exactly the currency that Giuffre Epstein needed. So he gained money from this, certainly, but the movement of human bodies was the result, but the influence that was peddled and that Donald Trump absolutely benefited from and participated in addition to the sex stuff. I mean, it's just so clear when you look at it through the right lens. It's like you're analyzing, like most people that are looking at this are analyzing it through this idea that they have of sex trafficking. And it's like, this is a whole other world where someone can go, I can get you a meeting with the president. It's like different.
Yeah. The currency is the children.
Yeah. And the children is really for Epstein, he uses the other people. So it's like a symbiotic relationship. Like if there's no one to consume the children, then there's no one for him to get influence with.
To blackmail.
Either blackmail or by, you like this, I can get you what you want if you get me what I want. So it's this insidious, gross, like symbiotic relationship. So when people are like, they were just emailing the guy, they were just having lunch with the guy, that is the crime. Like that in this type of operation, that's it. So we're about to see this.
You don't just have lunch with Giuffre Epstein.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
No.
I can't imagine anyone just sitting down and like nothing disgusting and heinous gets discussed. There's no like elaborate schemes of world takeover or abuse. You don't just sit down and have a club sandwich with Giuffre Epstein and then get up and go about your day.
And then just go, well, that was fine. Normal guy. I'll catch him next week. Can't wait to see him again. Like, what are you talking about? And also Schellenberger particularly, but all these folks, the Wall Street Journal posted this opinion article that was like, well, there's nothing here. Now that the Epstein files have been released, we realized there was no sex trafficking ring and there was nothing at all happened. And I was like, did you put this in the opinion section because it's devoid of fact? Like, are we reading the same thing?
The Washington Post that's owned by Jeff Bezos?
No, the Wall Street Journal that's owned by Rupert Murdoch, another billionaire,
well,
a different billionaire.
The
Yes,
they're all
exactly.
the fucking same. And that's why you can't trust media, is because they're all in this together.
It's
so
like,
they're not going to rat themselves out or rat their friends out that then could flip on them and rat them out. Because I bet everybody's real worried Andrew's about to sing like a canary.
Dude, they took his stuffies away. He's about to lose it.
His 82 teddy bears, which many are calling trophies.
Yikes.
Yeah. When you think of it like that, it hits different.
Where'd you get them? From whom?
Yeah.
Why are you so particular about where they're seated on your bed?
Why do you have so many of them as a grown man?
72 of them or 85 of them or whatever. More than zero? I mean, I'm not hating on someone for having like a stuffy someone they loved gave them. But if you were like, this has special meaning that only I know.
Yeah.
He is going to sing, hopefully. I think a lot more people, I think one of the former government officials, I can't recall what European country it was, Norway, I believe, though, was taken in on an attempted suicide. I think we're going to see a lot of folks falling off of yachts and or
being hung in their cells.
Yes, found dead of an apparent and self-inflicted insert, whatever. So I think today's episode should hopefully disabuse anyone of a notion that Donald Trump barely knew the guy.
It's like, well, I don't know. I watched all of Sesame Street. I never saw Big Bird. There's no Big Bird on Sesame Street. You're like, he's kind of the whole show. He's like one of the main people.
He's right in the middle of it. Like,
yeah,
truly.
He's huge. You can't miss him.
No, he's taller and bigger than all the other people. And he's a bright color. He's a bright color. You notice
Please I don't want to besmirch the fantastic name of Big Bird. I have nothing but love for Big Bird.
Yeah,
it's just that crazy to pretend like he's not in these files, like the things that he has said in these files or that are said about him aren't heinous. I mean, some of the stuff today, like, I don't know that we've ever said anything as graphic as some of these descriptions today, because up until this, we didn't really cover children. We covered John Bonet and a couple other cases.
Where it's like tangential to the case sometimes.
But I always felt like I can't do child cases. They're just too much. And now it's the whole thing. So it's a lot, but I mean, I feel like it's necessary because this is the biggest crime that's going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it is still going on, and it has been going on.
100%.
I mean, since probably the early to mid 80s. I mean, and the amount of victims would be in the over tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, in my opinion. I mean, I think you look at Peter Nygard out of Canada, who's in jail, and I think the documentation he had that covered like maybe just a 10-year span was like over 7,000 victims. And he kept really meticulous records. So this was going on 35, 40 years.
And him times
a million.
Hundreds.
Oh, yeah. And then and Peter Nygard did not have
people.
Peter Nygard had the money, but he didn't have as many like of the political connections. He was very connected and also in the fashion world, and they all kind of rolled in the same. People visited his island and Giuffre's island and stuff like that. But it's just bizarre to think, I guess not bizarre, but it's disgusting and overwhelming to think about how many women and girls there are that have as horrible of an experience as we'll talk about today, all the way up to just the girl that was 15 years old competing in the Miss Teen USA pageant and was putting on her tap shoes and had to change into her, and she's nude and Donald Trump walks through and sees her titties, and sees her naked, and she's ashamed and covered up. And he's like, oh, I'm just inspecting, which he told Howard Stern out loud that he did often. And contestants came forward and said, no, we were exposed, underage teen girls exposed, and he purposefully would bust in to see us. At the moment, he knew we would be changing. It's not like I'm going to go in 5 minutes before they go on stage. Everybody's ready. Go in and just say hi. It's like he went in while they were getting dressed on purpose. So he's been telling
how
us.
He would know that unless there were cameras in that dressing room.
Or someone says like, it's go
ding,
time,
ding,
boss.
Ding.
I mean, he's not doing this alone is the fucked up part of all this.
No.
So.
There's so many people involved in this. And so many more that we don't even know, like people we've never heard of, and most people haven't. And because they are trillionaires and whatever comes after that, I literally don't even know. And they just live like not literally a different planet, but like on our planet, on a different planet than the rest of us live.
You're 100% right. And that's what the peer-reviewed paper was saying. Like, when you analyze the behaviors and actions of the ultra wealthy all the way back like to the 1920s, it is borderline a sickness. Like, it does something to your brain. It makes you behave in aberrant ways that, were they poor, we would go like, oh, obviously lock them up.
Yeah. And I would argue this has been going on long before the 80s because of people like the Rothschilds and the Vanderbilts and
the Morgan family,
those billionaire families. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Truly. I just meant Epstein himself was. And Trump. Trump and Epstein's little party started, I think, when they became friends in the 80s. If you had not read Lucky Loser, I would also recommend that. It's about the history of the Trump family and Donald Trump himself, and like how he ended up going from kind of this rich prep school boy to taking over his father's whole empire and kind of getting in with like private club people right around that time. And it's like, that's when you start meeting the politically connected people, the financially connected people, the fashion connected people. And it was like the early 80s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's really sad that so many girls thought, this is my break. I'm going to be a Victoria's Secret model, or I'm going to be in Vogue. And we have not watched it yet, but the docuseries about America's Next Top Model is apparently jaw-dropping. And I remember even watching that before any of this came out. And I would just be like, my God, the way that they treat these models and talk to them, and just like the expectations. And that's just body image is what I was like, man, they're getting put through the ringer. And then you find out, oh, there's a whole other layer of abuse that they're suffering.
No, absolutely. And just all of those standards that they were holding adult grown women to are rooted in pedophilia. They all want you to look hairless and thin and small. And if you don't, then it doesn't fit their visage and you get tortured essentially until you do what they want. So it's rough to see. But I think telling the truth is one of the best antidotes to all of this and to keep it from happening in the future, and just being loud about it. And I'm happy that the survivors are getting as much support as they are from members of Congress and being Virginia Giuffre's family is being brought as guests to the State of the Union as we are recording this. It will be, hopefully, by the time you listen to this, you'll be like, the State of the Union was crazy when Donald Trump collapsed in the middle of it. Maybe not. I don't know. It's just wishful thinking. He's having a rough couple of days. Clots and prayers. But
we love that for him.
Yeah. But the idea that this guy is some like nice guy who accidentally just like bumped into Jeffrey Epstein one time is insane. So please enjoy the following. Guy. Yeah.
He's never been a nice guy. His family wasn't a nice guy. He doesn't come from nice guy lineage. It's just.
No, his dad was a sociopath.
You're an idiot. So. Yeah. And
it's crazy. Good book, though.
Those people are the ones that have Trump derangement syndrome.
Right. It's versus, I'm going to read I'm going to ingest true information. And it's like, you're crazy. But, oh, man. Well, enjoy, before we get to this wretched litany of horrors, what I would call one of the most depressing CVs or resumes you'll ever hear. We've got something exciting to talk about very briefly. I bet that our friends at IRL and CrimeWave are like, talk about it right in the middle.
Yeah, they probably love that. We'll probably switch this up to where we start talking about it before we go into
next time we will. Sorry, we were too. But a brief break. We are doing CrimeWave at Sea 2.0 in February 2027. Come join us aboard the beautiful Oasis of the Seas with Henry and Ed from last podcast, and Case File, Unexplained, True Crime Garage, Dan and Lindsay from Scared to Death. It's going to be a hoot and a holler.
It's going to be so much fun. And we just got word that they are selling so quickly the cabins that they are going to release extra cabins. However, that applies to all of the podcasts going. So,
we can't promise
100 cabins are released and all of the last podcast people book them up, then unfortunately that's it. So get them now before they are gone, because it's not like each show has a allotted amount. It's amongst us all.
And I think a lot of people are going to try to come and see Casey from Case File in interview with Vicky Fitradis. So it's going to be a great time. Go to crimewaveatsea.com, use code Sinister when you check out. And there's also all kinds of great things like payment plans, ways to split with your friends that you're going with. And if you use our code Sinister, you get a $100 off deal on your cabin and a private meet and greet with us. So use that code at checkout. And hold on for one more day, as the wonderful Wilson Phillips once sang, and someday we'll be together soon and we can drink a drink and cheers one another of all the people that have been put in jail by the time that cruise happens.
I feel like it'll be a celebratory cruise where we can have an in memoriam, but instead of being sad, it's just cheering at all the pictures.
It'll be great. We can't wait. So go to CRIMEWAVE@SEA.com/sinister and sail away with us from all of this for a moment. Just for a moment.
Well, for now, I'm Christy.
I'm Heather.
And let's get into it. The latest release of documents related to convicted child predator Giuffre Epstein show extensive mentions of current United States President Donald Trump. Trump has denied all wrongdoing and has claimed he was
totally exonerated
by the Epstein Files. However, Representative Jamie Raskin, who has seen the unredacted files, told reporters the president's name appears over 1 million times in the full data set. Donald Trump and Giuffre Epstein first crossed paths in the late 1980s. At this time, Epstein was cultivating his image as a mysterious financier and purchased a Palm Beach estate. There, the two men began moving through the same social circles. Trump himself put a rough date on it in a 2002 interview with New York Magazine, saying he had known Epstein for 15 years and called him
a terrific guy,
before adding that Epstein
likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side.
Why in the hell would you say those words out loud?
Because he is stupid at the end of the day, and accidentally blurts things. I mean, he tells on himself constantly. It's
all
just,
the time.
It's like all the time. So
he can't help it, I think.
No, it's true. I mean, listening to him, he wasn't the top of his class. That's not true. Like, he wasn't the genius child in school. He was never really great at business. He and his dad took advantage of a ton of loopholes and tax evasion strategies and things like that. And like, basically they would lose constantly, but then just frame this image that they won. So it's all just a big sham. So I think at the end of the day, you're just like, I'm so big and bad, no one can stop me. I'll say what I want.
It sounds like that's just how he's lived his life since day one.
Oh, yeah.
And continues to live it, just scamming everybody and saying whatever he wants.
Mm-hmm. Mommy and daddy would put him in his little limousine to get taken to school. I mean, he's never done work a day in his life.
Throughout the 1990s, the two men were a regular presence in each other's worlds. Epstein appeared at Trump's 1993 wedding to Marla Maples, and the pair were photographed together at a Victoria's Secret party in New York City in 1997. Trump's own ties to the modeling world were legitimized soon after. In 1999, after years of moving in the orbit of modeling industry figures and their competitions, Trump launched Trump Model Management. Trump's new company and the established agency, MC2 Model Management, reportedly had overlapping model rosters, and both relied on importing foreign models who often came to the U.S. with legally dubious visa arrangements.
And we found in retrospect that several of these modeling companies had this kind of like visa waiver program that you're not supposed to have for what the purposes that they had it, but they did, and it never kind of got checked, and it was just kind of like, this was a loophole that happened.
Yeah. If they don't want it to stop, they're not going to check it. They're just going to take advantage of it.
No, I mean, and Marla Maples has been reported as warning a 14-year-old aspiring model's mom at a Mar-a-Lago party. There were reports that Marla approached this woman and said, whatever you do, do not let your daughter around any of these men, especially my husband. Protect her. And I think it was reported in the Times. I mean, it was, it's that lady's word, whatever. But for Marla Maples' part, she tried her best to say something. I mean, I think at this point she had Tiffany as a kid, and I don't imagine it was a good time being married to Don, but it was known what he was like.
Yeah.
And,
if you know that your husband's a pedophile and you're having to warn people about that, you shouldn't be married to him.
No, true. And Les Wexner just said in his depositions, he's like, I would go to the Victoria's Secret fashion shows and Epstein would be there and then Trump would be there. And Wexner himself said, I always thought it was kind of odd he was at the fashion show because he had nothing to do with fashion.
Yeah.
And other models would say that too and be like, I was 14 in this model competition for Next Model Management. And afterwards there was this party. And then all of a sudden Donald Trump just showed up unannounced. So he would show up at all these teen model parties. So I think he created Trump Model Management to be like, I can get a list of their names and sizes and just pick from a menu.
And have a more legitimate reason for showing up. But yeah, it was all created just for disgusting purposes.
No, I would think so. And 1997 is when Ivanka was modeling. She was 15 years old, and there's footage from a Swedish television show on Channel 4 in Sweden interviewing Ivanka about this lingerie modeling gig she was about to do at what looked like a nightclub in New York. Ivanka is speaking very mature to the camera. I mean, she's very good on camera. She's just also 15 fucking years old, and you can tell she's young. They interview Trump. He's like, she's going to be very covered up. Smash cut to, I mean, the shirt barely covers underneath her breasts. She's wearing little hip hugger shorts. And I'm no expert, but none of the models walking out looked like real professionals. And this was not a runway situation. They all appeared to be young teens and like borderline like little boxing boxer shorts or like little cute. And they interviewed some guys then who were like, it was great. We loved it. We loved it. And they're like, did you love the fashion? Yeah. The fashion. Also, you know, as men, we loved it. It's like, these are 15-year-old girls and you put your 15-year-old daughter up there and he's like, she's very covered up. She's not though. So it's like, they just commodified humans.
And is it even a modeling show or was that a cattle call so you could bid on those girls?
I mean, low-key, the way that they were walking out is like they would walk out and then like flash and like show themselves. And it just struck me as odd. Feel free to watch the video. It's linked in our show notes under Ivanka Trump and 15-year-old, you know, in a fashion show on Swedish TV. But like it's finding that clip was very unsettling to me because it seems like it has like the visages of a legitimate show, but it's not legitimate.
Well,
like it looks legit.
That's how you get the girls there. And their parents there.
Yep. And he's like, look, my daughter's in it. That doesn't help.
Yeah. And then after it's, oh, well, if you want to walk in Paris Fashion Week, you need to come to this after party tonight.
Absolutely.
And that's where you're going to get gang raped by 10 dudes. But do you want to be a model in this industry? Because that's what you got to do if you do.
It really like suck this person off or you're not going to get this job.
And we've all heard Trump in interviews say disgusting things about his daughter, even when Ivanka was an adult. Like, oh,
if she wasn't my daughter, I'd be dating her.
And like, well, I was going to say the biggest thing we have in common is sex, but it's like, why would your brain as a parent be thinking of your child and sex in the same compartment in your head? Unless you had perverse intentions towards them.
I loved my dad. We were best friends. At no point would I have ever taken photos where he was sitting and I was in a crop top laying across his lap with his hands all over my hips and stomach area.
Never.
Because we had an appropriate physical relationship. Like we
That's
respected
crazy.
boundaries. We hugged. We were very loving, affectionate family. But like when you look at that, you're like, oh, that's what a person who has sex with someone sits like.
Yeah.
So, and I, by the way, at that age, I do not blame Ivanka. She was a minor. I mean, I think this is an abused child. And now she's married to what I think is maybe like a spy, which is crazy. We all got to look into that.
I think, like I told you earlier, once he kicks it and maybe some years down the line, some kid is going to write a book.
Come on, Tiffany. You're the reject
tell
from the
us
family.
just how fucked up their childhood was, because it's hard for me to believe that one just develops a taste when a kid is 15 for them. You know what I mean? Like that starts younger and in your own home.
She was a very sexualized child. I'll say that. And that usually is indicative of something. Sinisterhood will be right back.
I used to feel like makeup meant covering everything up. Either it looked heavy or I would just spend way too long layering products and not really feel like myself. I didn't want a different face. I just want my skin to look healthy and fresh and glowy and dewy. And that's where Jones Road comes in.
Same. The Miracle Balm completely changed it for me. It doesn't mask your skin, it enhances it. I just tap it on with my fingers and in under a minute, I've got an effortless glow. And it does replace so many steps. You could use it as blush, bronzer, little lip tint. Sometimes I put it on my eyebrows.
I
put it on my eyelids.
I use it on my eyes, my cheeks for highlighting, contour. It really does just give this shimmery, dewy, blurring effect to your skin that just makes you look fresh and glowy and adds a little pop of color. Like you just came from the best spa day you've ever had. You just look refreshed and
That's
good.
Yes, and just swipe and go. It's so easy. Plus, everything is clean and high performing, which makes it even better. If you want makeup that brings out your natural glow instead of hiding it, Jones Road is the way to go. For a limited time, our listeners get a free shimmer face oil on their first purchase when you use code CREEPY at checkout.
Just head to jonesroadbeauty.com and use code CREEPY at checkout. After your purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them our show sent you.
Sinisterhood will be right back.
MC2 was founded by French model scout Jean-Luc Brunel with financing from Epstein. The two worked together from the early 2000s until 2015, having been introduced through Ghislaine Maxwell. Multiple sources report that Epstein funded MC2 with at least $1 million. Victims named in court filings alleged that MC2 was used as a recruitment and trafficking. Brunel was arrested in France in 2020 on charges of raping minors and was found dead in his Paris prison cell in February 2022 while awaiting trial.
I bet that was unrelated to the fact that he knew everything bad Donald Trump did.
It seems like we've seen this film before, but in reverse. And the question is, did he really do it? Did they sneak in a dupe and sneak him out? I mean, it's like, it's hard to know what to believe anymore.
Oh, truly. Or is it like, well, Jean-Luc Brunel wasn't like, he was kind of disposable, so we got to get rid of him. It's a loose end. But especially if MC2, which Jean-Luc Brunel created, and Trump Model Management had an overlapping model roster, and victims repeatedly said, well, MC2 was used as a recruitment and trafficking hub. It's like, oh, but I bet Donald Trump's was 100% legit.
Yeah. And wouldn't you want your competition out? So you're not overlapping anymore. You're getting all of them.
There you go.
Trump and Epstein were regulars at Victoria's Secret parties and within the pageant circuit. Trump owned the Miss USA and Miss Universe pageants from 1996 to 2015, giving him direct access to thousands of young women annually. Epstein reportedly used his own connection to Victoria's Secret owner Les Wexner to lure girls by promising them modeling work. Another significant figure is Paolo Zampoli, who ran ID models and was embedded in these men's worlds. Zampoli specialized in bringing Eastern European women to New York, also on questionable visas. He also introduced Melania Knauss to Donald Trump at one such party in 1998. Zampoli now holds a formal U.S. government position as Special Envoy for Global Partnerships, appointed by Trump in March 2025. He also sits alongside Attorney General Pam Bondi on the Trump-restructured Kennedy Center board. His common-law wife, Amanda Ungaro, a Brazilian-born model who Zampoli signed to ID models as a teenager, appears on Epstein's flight logs, flying alongside Jean-Luc Brunel. In June 2025, at the precise moment Epstein's files flooded back into the national conversation, Amanda was arrested in Miami following an anonymous Crime Stoppers tip. She was transferred to an ICE detention facility and deported to Brazil without her child, despite holding an active United Nations diplomatic appointment as ambassador to Grenada and having no prior criminal record.
So these guys, Zampoli, Jean-Luc Brunel, Jeffrey Epstein, Les Wexner, Donald Trump, were all kind of running the model scene in New York and Florida and did not stop being friends.
Not one lady, not one woman.
No. And it seems like they never stopped being friends. And Zampoli sounds like he got a hold of this woman when she was a teen, a girl, and now they're not married, but common law wife and have been together for a long time and have a kid. And wouldn't you know, when it comes up that perhaps she might have some information, she just goes missing. She just gets abducted by ICE.
They use it to their advantage. It's laughable that everything with ICE is going on and this administration is talking about all these illegals and all this stuff when we're seeing that these models that they were bringing over themselves, they were doing it illegally, essentially, or through loopholes. So if it benefits them, they'll do it. They benefited by sending her back, you know, without her child. I mean, fucking heartbreaking. And the fact that she had been involved since she was a teen, that says a lot too. You know, she sounds like she was a victim from a very young age.
And knows a lot of information and was kept around because she is the mother of his child. And when it is a second you become a liability, they get rid of you. And I can't believe that the Kennedy Center has fallen so hard
Oh my
that
God.
Pam Bondi and this scumbag are on the board of it. And the fact that he's still acting as a special envoy, this guy definitely needs to be investigated alongside, Jess Daly, Leon Black, all the ones that are these major players that are just chilling. They're just walking around doing whatever they want. And this guy has a fucking government job.
No, it's crazy. And I'm honestly surprised some of them haven't fled the country.
Or just like, ended up on a yacht somewhere and we never hear where they're at. Like they're just
their
gone.
own island that they have that nobody knows where it is.
Hang on, that's why they were building all those bunkers.
Yeah, they all got a bunch of fucking islands. There's islands all over the place. And apparently if you're real rich, you can own one and just do whatever you want there.
Those were not the islands that Kenny and Dolly were singing about.
No, they weren't.
They're much worse.
They were not. To the Kennedy Center point, I'm very proud of all the people that have pulled out their support, pulled out performances, won't have anything to do with it. Because that's how change is enacted. If they're we're not making money off this anymore. He took the name down. He's defacing historical monuments, including the own fucking White House, which now, didn't they determine they can't even do what they were going to do?
Yeah, they were it's actually illegal to tear down the East Wing, so you can't build anything either. So just fill it in with dirt. So the East Wing was destroyed for no reason. So that'll also be his legacy.
Or
was there something
is there something underground?
Or either that, or I think they were genuinely trying to build something and they did get thwarted by the folks sued, and it worked.
The lead detective in her arrest was subsequently honored with an Attorney General's Award by Pam Bondi, who continues to serve alongside Zampoli. In a January 2026 statement published by independent investigative journalist Becca Day, Amanda alleged that the arrest was part of a coordinated effort to silence her, that she has documented evidence of physical abuse at Zampoli's hands, insurance fraud, and the bribery of government officials, and that she has been a witness to Epstein's operation since she was a teenage girl. As Day has noted, major mainstream outlets have yet to cover these allegations or Amanda Ungari's story, despite the verifiable documentary records supporting the core facts of her detention and deportation.
Yeah, huge shout out to Becca Day for really diving into the fashion world and pulling a lot of this kind of connections that were not apparent to most people before the dump of the file. So she's been at this for months, if not years, and was one of the very first online to kind of put this together and go, hang on a minute, you're telling me Paolo Zampoli's common law wife just happened to get deported by an anonymous tip, and stuff like that does get overlooked, I think, by larger media outlets. And we'll talk about later too, something that another online independent investigative journalist broke that now NPR is talking about. And it's so vital for the people that are just down digging in the primary resources for themselves.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that shit on getting your news from TikTok creators and stuff. I would argue there's a lot of independent journalists on there that are doing boots on the ground reporting that mainstream media just isn't. They can get places that mainstream media doesn't want to go. So I don't like the criticism of well, that came from TikTok. So it's well, maybe that's just where Becca Day has her biggest platform, but her information is valid and researched and can be trusted.
No, I would agree with that. Yeah, it's no matter where you're getting your information. It's says who, as long as if somebody brings receipts on TikTok, the amount of people that are green screen creators is what I call them. And those are the ones I love. And Becca Day is one of the best, where they pull the stuff up behind their head as they're talking. So it's not just somebody, because there's a couple of people on TikTok that I think for sensationalism are did you hear? Da-da-da-da-da. And it's full of shit. But folks like her are the ones breaking these stories. And Substack is the other place for it. And I love Substack. And that's become my morning scroll place because a lot of people from Aaron Parnas post on both platforms or whatever. A lot of folks post on both. And that one allows you to put a lot more written, you do your video and you click here for more. But a lot of people put it in their link in bio anyway. But I think those two platforms are doing a ton for breaking stories that maybe, especially now that Rupert Murdoch owns one and Jeff Bezos owns another and Disney owns another, that I think not for lack of trying, but mainstream journalists are hamstrung. Like Don Lemon, he's on Substack and TikTok and stuff now because he wanted to actually cover real stories and they weren't letting him.
Mm-hmm.
So same with Andrew Callahan on YouTube. Folks like him are just doing like, I'm going to go there and see it myself. And I got respect for it.
I'm going to put out my
other
own
folks
work.
Like Nick Shirley are, the yin to that yang, like the opposite of it. But that's why we need people like Andrew Callahan to go, okay, well, I took all your claims and I checked them and they're wrong. So no.
So fuck off.
Let the best information win.
Despite the president's attempt at downplaying their relationship, flight logs presented as evidence during Ghislaine Maxwell's trial show Trump flew on Epstein's private jets 7 times between 1993 and 1997 on routes between Palm Beach and New York. In a 2019 interview, Epstein reportedly referred to Trump as his
closest friend for 10 years.
This characterization was echoed by several people who knew both men, including a former Trump casino executive and one of Epstein's earliest victims to speak publicly. The relationship began to sour around 2004. The pair's relationship supposedly ended entirely by 2007, when Trump banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. Trump has denied any knowledge of Epstein's criminal activities.
And the 2004 friend breakup was allegedly over a property, I believe in Palm Beach, that Epstein wanted. Trump bought it, and then Trump sold it for like twice the value to a Russian oligarch that is a close tie to Vladimir Putin, which some have seen as a way to launder money as a sort of payment to Putin and his cronies. But others perhaps it was just a good real estate deal or to, launder money from Putin and his cronies. But yeah, who knows? But Epstein very much wanted that property.
However, the January 30th release contains documents contradicting the president's claim. In a 2019 FBI interview summary, retired Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Ryder recounted a phone call he received from Trump in 2006, shortly after the department's investigation of Epstein became public knowledge. According to the FBI's 4-page account of that interview, Trump called Ryder to say,
"Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this."
Trump told the chief that
people in New York knew Epstein was disgusting.
Trump identified Ghislaine Maxwell as
Epstein's operative. She's evil. Focus on her.
He disclosed that he had been around Epstein
just once
when teenagers were present and that he
got the hell out of there.
The document notes that Trump was
one of the very first people to call
the department when the investigation became known.
He can't help himself. He can't help himself.
Insane.
I mean, 2006 was after their fallout. So I think he was gleeful of like, they got him and not
They're
me.
Like children, like little prep school, bratty, rich kids still fighting over shit like this.
For sure. It's like Arrested Development. Like they do not have the ability to see things. Like you wouldn't see that as like, oh no, this might also come back on me. But instead, you're going to call the police chief to gloat?
Yeah. Well, and to also turn on your quote unquote friend who, I mean, a bigger frenemy relationship. I don't know if that's existed between the two of them, but to think just the lying, like I said to you just offline earlier, it's one thing to lie and it be a believable lie, but like none of these people are good liars because they take it to such the extreme that it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's borderline living out a delusion in front of us. But yeah, for him to call the cop that is investigating your kind of co-conspirator in all of this. But I think it's a move of, I'm going to call them and see how much they know. I'm going to call them and see what they're going to say. I'm going to see what their tone is. You know, if they call and go, well, Epstein wasn't working alone. We're still working the bushes. Yeah, we're glad we got him. Case closed. So you call and try to keep your enemies close.
Yeah, you get ahead of it. You think, well, I'll look like a good guy if I call and report something versus them coming after me.
100% that's what Trump was thinking. 100%.
And then,
which is the opposite, by the way.
He's saying, you got to look into Ghislaine. She's evil. Meanwhile, he transferred her to a much nicer prison, or did he? Did they swap her out on the way there? Either way, she's doing a lot better than she was a year ago in the prison she was in.
And has not ruled out clemency for her. despite
No.
calling the police chief saying, you got to get her. She's a bad one. He's like, that was 2006. It was a long time ago. She was awesome for the next 21 years. Like, no, she was not.
And I don't
She's
even
worse.
think it's like ignorance to that documents aren't kept and logs aren't kept. I think he just thinks I've gotten out of everything my whole life because of money and power. So why would this be any different?
Well, your
And
ego
he's not wrong. Look at what's happening.
No, truly, your ego gets to a certain point that you're just like, I can do this. And don't even consider the consequences. Because it's like,
And
nothing can happen
there
to me.
haven't been any consequences for him with this. So, you know, if the behavior is never brought into question or challenge, then why would somebody change it?
There's nothing to be worried about.
Ryder, widely regarded as a law enforcement hero for pushing the Epstein case forward against prosecutorial resistance, confirmed to the Miami Herald that he was the individual referenced in the document and that the call happened. The White House declined to confirm or deny it. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters,
That phone call that may or may not have happened in 2006, I don't know the answer to that question.
the DOJ offered only that it was.
Not aware of any corroborating evidence.
The call took place, notably stopping short of calling it false.
So we have the White House not saying that never happened because they don't want to get caught in a lie because they know it did. So you just be like, I don't know if it's real or not.
I don't know.
And then the DOJ going, there wasn't any other corroborating evidence. What do you expect there to be? This guy was like, yes, I had a call and told a police chief told the FBI I had a phone call and this is what they said.
Among the most striking documents in the January 30th release is a 2011 email chain in which Jeffrey Epstein reached out to Nicholas Rebus, a former executive in Trump's resort empire, asking for help disputing allegations from a woman who said she had worked at Mar-a-Lago at age 15. The woman, whose name is redacted, said she was there in 1998. Epstein believed it was 2000 when she would have been 17. Trying to figure out how to push back, Epstein wrote,
Who would I go to verify? I don't know how Donald would respond.
He then forwarded the message to an account labeled GMax. The response, attributed to Ghislaine Maxwell, was blunt.
I thought you said not to involve Donald.
CNN and The New Republic have both confirmed the details of the email chain. The details match the account of Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's most prominent accusers, who has said she was recruited from Mar-a-Lago by Maxwell in 2000. Giuffre died by suicide in April of 2025. A separate FBI memo from 2021 further describes the victim telling investigators that Maxwell had once, quote, presented her to Trump at a party, saying things like,
Oh, I think he likes you. Aren't you lucky?
And that the encounter was
set up very much like how Maxwell introduced her to Epstein.
The same memo notes that ultimately
nothing happened
between the victim and Trump.
Well, not for a lack of Ghislaine trying, it sounds like.
Yeah. And the years specifically matter. Correct me if I'm wrong, because 17 is an age of consent versus 15.
In Florida, I believe that's true.
Yeah. So they're just like, we got to make sure that it's not found out she's 15 versus 17, which is such a gross thing to be discussing with people.
Because you know what you did with them, and you know it matters how old they were when you did what you did with them. But
and it's 15. I mean, yes, in terms of like this, it matters. But remember back to being 15 and 17. Those are 2 years. So even if she was 17, she's still a victim. She's still a minor, in my opinion. And it is still emotionally, physically, everything abuse, regardless if she just happens to be 2 years older than you think she is.
No, truly. And Virginia, for her part, never wavered from her story. It was consistent. And there's just so fucking much documentary evidence photos, emails, pictures, everything. So interesting that they were emailing back and forth trying to, essentially trying to discredit her and be like, she was only 17. She's going around telling everybody she was 15. And meanwhile, there's a ton of corroborating evidence that Virginia was right, that they were just grabbing at straws here. Sinisterhood will be right back. I'll tell you what, I don't like to wear stuff that hurts my body. I don't like something that's like itching, pinching, painful, uncomfortable. And with my Skims intimates, I feel like I've solved those problems. I feel comfortable without being pinched, poked, or prodded.
The bralettes, the underwear, all the various garments they have are all made out of a material that just, it feels like nothing when you have it on.
Like second skin.
Yeah.
That's why I like it. And I love my lightweight cotton ruched back hipsters from Skims. I feel very cute and comfortable, but also it doesn't feel like it bulks under the pants that I'm wearing and like makes me feel like I'm always like trying to adjust myself. And it's like, girl, stop digging. Like, what are you doing? So thankfully it just sits where it lies.
Also with a lot of underwear, I feel like it loses its shape.
Mm-hmm.
And Skims doesn't like stretch out. It's no matter how many washes, it still like retains its shape. It still looks good on. It feels good on. Yeah. So you don't feel like you're having to pull up like saggy drawers.
For real.
Shop our favorite bras and underwear at skims.com. After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you. Select podcast in the survey and be sure to select our show in the drop-down menu that follows.
Sinisterhood will be right back.
The newly released files include communications showing Epstein maintained contact with members of the Trump family well into 2019, years after Trump claims to have cut off all contact. A January 2019 email attributed to Epstein reads,
"Can we do coffee with Don Jr. Thursday, Friday? Only if easy, as you know I like people that are funny."
Separate emails reference spending time with
the Trump boys,
though the precise date of those exchanges has not been confirmed. Trump has said he severed ties with Epstein in the early 2000s and had not spoken to him in 15 years at the time of Epstein's 2019 arrest.
Well, as we talked about it previously, he was also talking to Steve Bannon all the time, who was literally sitting next to Trump in meetings. So
yeah,
it's also very flimsy to be like, I didn't talk to the guy. It's like, well, yeah, but the guy that sits right next to you's got him on speakerphone. Like,
and you all run in the same pedo circles. So
Yeah.
You're telling me you're not seeing each other and wheeling and dealing and talking? I don't buy any of it. This is a small example of why do rich people sound this way? Like, what is he really saying when he says, only if easy, as you know I like people that are funny? That's some rich people code speak for something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess he's saying that Don Jr. is funny, but he doesn't want to make a big deal of, I don't know. As you know, I like people.
They just speak so weird.
Yeah, it's all very weird. And also, goddamn, he got into so many fights between, I think it's Karina. I don't know how many more episodes of this we're going to do, but what Becca Day calls the core four, which is his girlfriend Karina, who inherited his whole estate, Leslie Groff, the assistant, like all these folks. But he would just get into these like crazy email fights with Karina and about like, relationship type of stuff.
Epstein
and would be like, oh yeah. And he's like, think of me as your very irritated nipple. And she's like, my nipple wouldn't be irritated if you weren't yanking on it constantly, which I think is a perfect metaphor for who we are. And he's like, your nipple will be irritated regardless. I couldn't tell if it was Ghislaine or Karina, because the name is redacted, but somebody he was in a long-term, seemed like romantic relationship. There's about 30 different emails, or not 30. I mean, there's a handful of emails of them going back and forth about irritated nipple and I'm an irritated nipple. And like, just like you said, though, it's like, this is weird. And
no,
then
they
another
talk
one,
so strange.
And he like just shot an email off to, I think it was her, or maybe a different email to Ghislaine. And they responded, can I get a full sentence? And I was like, girl, I'm on your side, because I don't know what this motherfucker's talking about.
Oh, dude. The way that I would like to reply, can I get a full sentence to messages? And maybe I'll start, because I get it. But it's just like we talked about in another episode, these quick, just one sentence emails back and forth to each other. No one takes the time to correct typos. It's just like, I'm too busy for that kind of stuff, but also I'm kind of speaking vaguely in case this does get in the wrong hands, but you know what I mean. Because, I mean, and maybe it is just that he thinks Don Jr. is funny, but like, it's just, I don't know. They all fucking talk weird. I don't get it.
No,
maybe not because I'm not a billionaire pedo. I don't get it, which is fine by me. I hope I never get it.
Right. I'd rather not get the joke.
The files also reveal that Epstein was, by multiple accounts, consumed by Trump's political rise. Emails between Epstein and former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers show Epstein gossiping extensively about Trump during his first presidential term. In a May 2017 email, Summers asked,
"How guilty is Donald?"
referencing questions about Russia's role in the 2016 election. In July of that year, Summers wrote,
"I think your friend is mentally ill."
Is this a woman or a man?
No, he's just gossiping like a little bitch, though.
Oh, okay. Epstein replied,
"Not my friend. I've told you that before."
Summers has since said he is
deeply ashamed
of his correspondence with Epstein and taken a leave from Harvard.
But he was just like gabbing in there like, "Did you see Donald today? Can you believe Donald?" I'm like, Larry Summers, you're a Treasury Secretary. Go do your work. Why are you gossiping with the pedophile?
To get on his good side. Information is power, and they're all... But also it goes back to like literally middle school. Like you want to sit at the cool kids table. So you're going to be like, hey, guess what I heard? Before anybody else can tell him. So now you've gained his trust and some, you got some bargaining chips.
No, you're right. And a lot of the emails from Kathy Rumler from now about to be ousted at Goldman Sachs in the next, she's like, I'll be quitting in 6 months. But a lot of her emails have this pathetic tone of, like you said, wanting to be liked by Epstein of like, guess what I heard? Or like great news or something I know you would love. And it's like, they were all just clamoring to be accepted and liked by him. And when people like Michael Schellenberger are like, why are we witch hunting these poor people? They didn't know. Yeah, they knew. May 2017. And he's like, well, Julie K. Brown's reporting for the Miami Herald didn't come out till 2018. You can Google. Oh, the deal in Florida was like a deal in Florida. They were desperately, Epstein was paying like thousands of dollars a month to try and get his Wikipedia page and his like Google suggested search not to be like pedophile. So that was like on the internet. So you sound like a dumbass to be like.
Bannon was hired to rebrand his reputation.
Yes. They knew, and he was hired like in late teens, like in May of 2017. So it's like, to me, it just completely stretches the bounds of my imagination to be like, these just thought, like, you sound like the Conan O'Brien when, what's his name? I love him so much. The guy's like, Epstein, the financier, friend Jeff. Like,
he's great.
You mean, who could
Ghislaine? I'll call Ghislaine about this.
Yeah, to be fair, I haven't talked to him before the pandemic, but Jeff Epstein? Like, no, Larry Summers, we get like, fuck you. No.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is so embarrassing that these grown adults are just groveling at his feet to get some attention and tossing out disgusting bits of information and trading things that they know is wrong, but it's all to get a seat at that table or get invited to that party.
No, for real. It was like, you can see that people were like trying to scrounge around whatever they had to offer him. And some people had kids. One of the emails is like, you got to meet my sister. She's even cuter than me and younger. Like that type desperation to the point that you are pimping out your family members. Or like, check out this one. It's an 11-year-old Brazilian. And the same people are also currying favor of, oh, did you hear so-and-so? Or I'm going to get this award, or I'm going to go meet with Peter Thiel. What should I tell him? Oh, Peter Thiel, you should tell him this. So it's like, they're all just trying to find currency, which is part of this large scale trafficking organization. In my opinion, at some point, if you're trading info with him and you're getting stuff in return, and also it's part of his ongoing criminal enterprise, RICO wise, I think some of these people should get taken down, because it's like, there's no way you didn't know that the information you were trading and stuff like that wasn't going to further a criminal enterprise, which at its core was the abuse and exploitation of kids.
Hundo P. Separately, House Democrats released emails showing Epstein positioning himself to powerful contacts as what observers have described as a self-styled
Trump whisperer.
NPR has reported on Epstein's
near obsession
with Trump's presidency. In one 2011 email to Maxwell, Epstein described Trump as
the dog that hasn't barked.
In other messages, he wrote that Trump
knew about the girls
because he had asked Maxwell to stop, a claim Trump has categorically denied.
Stuff like that, though, is like them two just talking to each other, which to me gives it a little bit more credence.
Epstein and Maxwell?
Yeah, Epstein and Maxwell sound like they're like, do we think he's going to rat us? Well, he knew about it. Well, he hasn't said anything. Okay, okay, good. So it's like, you knew about it.
And also, I mean, I'm glad that they didn't, but pick up a phone.
Dude.
Why do you want a paper trail of all of this? And again, it goes back to like, they're so untouchable in their mind, and they really are, that like, it doesn't matter.
I have a different theory, and my theory is that Epstein and Ghislaine wanted everything to be written down that would implicate Trump in case anything got released. They're like, you're going down with us. Like some of the emails are like to Epstein just to himself and have like details about people that are doing bad shit. And if you are an intelligence asset that someone else has access to your email, you email stuff to yourself. The person that also accesses your email, even if you don't email it to yourself, you put it in drafts. The person can log into that from somewhere else. So I think Epstein was using his email on his own to communicate, and also as a way to gather data. He didn't keep a spreadsheet, but he certainly kept people in his emails.
Almost. And I guess if you know you're not going to be touched because you're a spy, then it doesn't really matter if you implicate yourself in your own emails.
Yeah. Do you mean like when his goblin lawyer went on television and said, if Epstein was a child predator, I would have gotten him off. Like he wouldn't have had it spent any time in jail at all. And they're like, so he was a spy? So like, wait a minute, because he didn't get any time in jail at all. He got to go leave all day and rape people still while he was in jail. So he never went to jail. So what you just told us, which next episode, he was a spy. So
and Alan Dershowitz also
go to hell 1 million times.
Predator.
Yeah,
100%.
And if he says he's not, I would love to run a full entire lawsuit and prove that he is.
Let's do it.
I'll do it pro bono.
Let's bring it into discovery.
And we have a judge right here.
Yeah. Yes. You're just going to hear that constantly.
I'm going to spit take my protein shake.
It happened to be right next to me. But again, like this obsession with the presidency, it's like a frenemy obsession. It's like Mean Girls, where you're just like, wait a minute. She is a cheerleader. She's going to be prom queen. You know, like he's going to be president. Like it's just such like embarrassing, immature jealousy.
Well, and then I think Epstein becoming as close to Bannon as he was probably somewhat tied to that. And I just can't keep thinking about Steve Bannon's Apple Watch has been delivered. I'm like, by the way, when certain intelligence assets give you things, it's like when Dwight gives you a mallard, there's something in it. Like, and then, but you think you found the mallard, but really it was the pen that he also put on your desk at the same time. Intelligence agencies, particularly the one that Epstein is affiliated with, are well known for doing that, for trying to bring objects into spaces that they are trying to surveil, and those objects are filled with surveillance equipment. So the idea that Giuffre Epstein just gave Steve Bannon a brand new Apple Watch out of the box just defies expectations. I think instead he was like at home, like listening to Donald Trump's conversations.
Independent researchers and journalists combing through the 3 million pages have flagged what they call a pattern of suspect redactions. Among the more telling examples, an email dated July 14, 2009, in which what appears to be the word don't, missing the letter T, is redacted mid-sentence. The redaction appears to be the result of an automated keyword search for the string dawn, one that swept up even a typo of the word don't. Critics say this indicates the DOJ's redaction system used a keyword-based approach that was designed or had the effect of suppressing references to the name Dawn throughout the document set.
This was just like when it was initially released on Jan 30 and you searched Trump, nothing would come up. But if you searched Trump with a space after it, it would come up. So they blocked search of Trump, but they're not smart enough to block search for Trump space. And this is a Dwicked moment of threat level midnight when Michael had changed the character's name and did a control F for everything, but did not swipe up the Dwicked. But it's a cover up. I mean, NPR's reporting it today. It's clear.
Yeah. Oh, yes. The Epstein Files are not the first time the president has been credibly accused of sexual abuse. In April 2016, an anonymous woman using the pseudonym Katie Johnson filed a lawsuit in California accusing both Trump and Epstein of forcibly raping her when she was 13 years old at underage sex parties at Epstein's Manhattan residence in 1994. The lawsuit was filed and dismissed multiple times, and the plaintiff dropped it days before the 2016 election, citing death threats.
If we would have listened to this woman.
And I believe 1,000,000% she was getting death threats.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, she was. There's no way she wasn't threatened.
Johnson's lawsuit came back into relevance with the January 30 drop of additional Epstein files. An FBI complaint seems to be related to this lawsuit, prompting Representative Melanie Stansbury to post on Blue Sky, asking why the document isn't receiving more coverage. The form, dated November 23, 2016, has case designation Assessment 0 file. It records a call made to the FBI's public access line on July 4, 2016, by an attorney representing a woman identified only as Jane Doe. According to the complaint, the attorney reported that his client, who was 13 years old at the time of the alleged incidents, was recruited in the summer of 1994 to attend parties hosted by Epstein in New York City. She had traveled there from the Midwest, hoping to begin a modeling career. The complaint alleges she was told attending these parties was necessary to advance that career. The document alleges that over 4 visits, Jane Doe was subjected to escalating sexual abuse, and that both Epstein and Trump were present and participating. The complaint reads in part,
During the first party, Doe was asked to strip down to her underwear and give a massage to Epstein. Doe was asked by Epstein to do sexual acts, but she refused. Doe was later asked to massage the penis of Epstein's guest, Trump, with her hands. Doe was told that this was what she had to do in order to get a job, and Doe complied. During the second party, Doe was asked to perform oral sex on Trump and complied. During the third party, Doe was made to perform oral sex on Trump with another girl named Redacted. During the fourth visit, Doe was raped by Trump, vaginally penetrating Doe with his penis. Epstein was angry that Trump was the one to take Doe's virginity, and then went on to rape Doe by vaginal and anal penetration with his penis. Doe struggled and was struck by both men during the assault. Doe was then threatened with violence by both men to not make any report of what happened. Quote, "will make you disappear like Redacted." Doe was not paid for this final party.
That is a lot to sit with.
That is multiple events that you're going to, and you're 13 at this time. This is a middle schooler, you know?
Yeah, 8th grade.
You know?
Something like that, 7th, 8th grade.
The richest people you've ever met in your life, living in Epstein's mansion, by the way. Should just be like, oh, this was at Epstein's house. This is like a horror mansion.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about being trapped in, it takes like almost a full city block. It's wired in every inch of every room for audio and video recording. Wiring done, by the way, by the Israeli government, Dropsite News recently reported. And that means there somewhere exists audio and video footage of this.
Oh, yeah. I think there's a lot of audio and video footage of these heinous acts.
We don't have to think that, because Pam Bondi said it's tens and thousands of videos and it's all little kids, and she's the attorney general. So I think this should have been disqualifying for him to be a president.
Yeah.
Period.
I mean, it should have happened before this. This should have been, we stop. This is where it stops. Like, this is insane.
And the thing that irritates me, and I'm irritated at the Obama administration, at the Biden administration, at the Bush administration, the Clinton administration, and you know, Obama to a lesser extent, it seems like people in his circle were in on it. But I think especially both Obama and Biden administrations were like, well, we don't want it to be political. And, you know, you got a fucking tip that the guy that's currently the front runner for the presidency is raping repeatedly kids. And you're like, but I don't want to be political about it. Now, I'm not saying that's what they said. I don't know why this didn't get investigated, because it said that the tip came in July 4th, 2016. And it didn't come in by a stranger calling from a payphone who sounded like kind of like, you know, distressed, which maybe that would still be true. But an attorney who represented a person who vetted the information and then is calling you as like a professional courtesy, it is unforgivable to me. And I will not be satisfied with the legacy of the Obama administration, with the Biden administration, until people come out and say, I was told not to pursue this. Like the FBI needs, like the agents that took this call, come forward and be like, I took it up the chain and they said for whatever reason, because until then it's like, well, now it makes me think y'all were all part of this. So, and I swear I don't want anybody to split hairs and be like, it's only the Republicans, because the Obama was in charge for a lot of this and shit could have happened. Biden was in charge and some, they're like, oh, the Ghislaine thing was going on. Certainly, yes, they got her in jail. Great job. But they left a lot on the table.
In a lot of these pictures and a lot of the emails too.
And all this shit was going on during his administration and they aren't going to answer calls. Like there's a sex party going on in Manhattan. They're like, yeah, we know the president is there. Like,
yeah. I think it gets run up maybe you take the call and with good intentions and good faith and it gets passed off and up the ladder. And like you said, at some point it just stops. It doesn't get past that person's desk because they're getting paid for it not to.
Truly. I mean, and it has just been released that the New York City Human and Child Trafficking Task Force in 2019 by the Trump administration was told to stand down on all of this because the feds have got it.
Yeah, well, we all know how that works.
Sinisterhood will be right back.
If you've ever tried to get psychiatric care and hit a 6-month wait list or bounced around between sketchy websites just trying to find someone who takes your insurance, same. That's why we were so impressed with Psychiatry. It's actual psychiatric care with real doctors that works with your schedule and your insurance. It's not another meditation app. It's real help without the wait.
What makes Psychiatry different is that it's not just therapy, it's full psychiatric care. That means you're meeting with a licensed medical provider who can actually diagnose conditions like anxiety, ADHD, insomnia, and more. And they can prescribe medication if that's part of your treatment. It's 100% online, but it still feels personal and thoughtful. You're not rushed and you're not left wondering what's next.
And the best part, it works with your insurance. No monthly subscription fees or paying out of pocket for every session. They've got over 600 in-network clinicians, and getting started takes only a few minutes. You fill out a short assessment, you get matched with someone who fits your needs, and then you can book your first appointment in days, not months. Psychiatry has helped over 300,000 people already, and it honestly just makes the whole process feel doable.
Head to psychiatry.com/creepy and complete the short assessment to get matched with an in-network psychiatrist in just a few minutes. That's psychiatry.com/creepy to get matched in minutes. Sinisterhood will be right back.
Buried within the massive release was also a 21-page slideshow containing an additional allegation that sometime between 1983 and 1985, a woman accused Trump of sexually assaulting her when she was in her early teens. Under a slide titled Prominent Names, the FBI wrote that a redacted individual
stated Epstein introduced her to Trump, who subsequently forced her head down to his exposed penis, which she subsequently bit. In response, Trump punched her in the head and kicked her out. Date range, 1983 to 1985. Victim would have been 13 to 15 years old.
She told the DOJ that Epstein had introduced her to Trump in 1984.
So you probably don't ever forget that.
No. Good for this child being like, nah, I know this is fucked up. And I'm surprised, honestly, she was only punched in the head.
Right? It's like, who knew she was there? And that's probably why she ended up making it out alive.
Independent journalists Roger Sollenberger and Nina Burleigh discovered that the FBI conducted not just one, but 4 separate interviews with this woman, all occurring in the summer and fall of 2019. The first interview was recorded on July 24th, 2019, and the last on October 16th, 2019. Notably, the first interview write-up was entered into FBI case files on August 9th, 2019, one day before Epstein was allegedly found dead in his jail cell. FBI agents typically have a 5-working-day deadline to file such reports. This was an abnormal 16-day gap from when the interview was actually conducted.
So you interview her, 2 weeks later, more than 2 weeks later, you finally file it. And then the next day after you filed that you have credible evidence that Donald Trump sexually abused someone, Epstein just manages to die.
The timing is very suspicious / convenient. Sullenberger reported that the DOJ removed a key evidence catalog document from its public Epstein file database, the very record that revealed all 4 FBI interviews had taken place. After his reporting, the document was restored, though no explanation was given for either its removal or its restoration.
It's one of those where I think the DOJ doesn't realize how many people are watching as closely as they are watching and making copies of stuff that they're doing. And in this case, making copies. And you find something that literally says 4 interviews with the woman that alleges Trump sexually assaulted her. And then you go back to find it again and it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Why though?
Yeah. No, and
you get called out.
I was looking in JMail, which is one of the many databases that just good people that are trying to make sense of this have put together. Files were being actively deleted as I was searching for them. Like I would be reading something and then refresh and it would be like, file not found. And I'm like, someone is literally in there just like removing these as people are screenshotting and reading them.
It is crazy. Like you'll get the Bates number and see a copy of a file and people have downloaded it. But then if you go and try to search the actual just DOJ's website even too, not on there either. And you're right. I think there is some dirty deleting going on that I hope will be the basis for a criminal trial. Because you can't do that. But I mean, NPR, breaking news today, Tuesday, February 24th, NPR did a forensic document analysis where they cross-referenced 3 different sets of unique serial numbers stamped sequentially onto the files and then compared those against the FBI file case logs, the discovery document logs from like Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, public DOJ database. And NPR was able to track where the serial sequence had gaps in it. So they could identify 53 pages of documents that are cataloged in the DOJ system, but that were kept from the public release. So at some point, we got to ask, if they're not in the unredacted files that Congress has access to, where are they and why are they being hidden?
According to Sullenberger, the evidence catalog shows that all 4 interview records were handed over to Ghislaine Maxwell's legal team as part of the standard trial preparation in 2021. However, of those 4 interviews, only 1 was included in the publicly released Epstein files. The other 3 provided to Maxwell and her team were withheld from the public. Sullenberger argues that this means Maxwell's attorneys possess sworn victim testimony about Trump that the American public does not have access to. The testimony could theoretically be used as leverage over the sitting president. Of 15 documents listed in the Maxwell discovery log for this woman, only 7 appear in the public database. The missing files included notes that accompanied 3 of the interviews.
That's a really good point that he makes, that under Brady standards, the government has to give to the defendant all inculpatory or exculpatory evidence. And this would be probably a little bit of both. I mean, if you wanted to try and blame that it wasn't Ghislaine doing the trafficking, that it was Trump instead, or it's inculpatory because the victim states that Ghislaine was part of this or whatever. But the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell's legal team has access to information that the American public doesn't makes it very suspicious that she said the other day when pleading the Fifth that in exchange for clemency, only she could tell the whole story about why Trump was innocent and why Clinton was innocent. And I wonder if that is a public way to imply to folks that they have access to copies of documents that would be very damaging for the president.
Yeah. No, I think her whole testimony was a nod and a wink at Trump. Like, you know, I have this shit. So go ahead and grant this. The FBI's National Threat Operations Center, or NTOP, received a separate complaint from a woman reporting that she was forced to perform sex acts when she was 13 years old and pregnant in 1984. She told federal authorities that Trump regularly paid her money to force her to perform sex acts. She also alleged Trump was present when her uncle murdered her newborn child. The DOJ said they were unable to make contact with this woman. This is yet another separate individual.
My question is, if the name of your organization is the Federal Bureau of Investigation, how do you receive information? And if all of the facts aren't there, you don't investigate further, given that is the purpose of your federal bureau, that they just went, couldn't find her. What do you mean you can't find her? That's your fucking job.
Unless she's dead. But
or unless they didn't look.
I don't think they really looked that hard.
No.
Again, such a hard thing to envision and imagine. And knowing what we know about the ranch and Epstein's desire to impregnate young girls who knows whose child that was.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of questions come to my mind of, well, why would her uncle murder the child in front of her? And why was Trump there when this was happening?
Mm-hmm.
And the mind reels at the possibilities, which range from just sick and twisted individuals all the way up to some sort of ritualistic sacrifice.
Or just kind of the, what's the word I'm looking for? That rich person, have you tried the soft meat of a baby?
Yeah.
You know, where it's not like satanic. It's just like, oh, it's the most delicious thing you've ever tasted. Perhaps, or just, oh, that kid can trace me back to definitively proving that I raped that 13-year-old. You should kill it. Like that, it's evidence. There are people that consider, they do not find inherent value in a life. And in fact, it's like, what could this do for or to me? And if they could do something for you, they'll be nice to you. And if you could do something to them, they will kill you.
Yeah. I don't think it was satanic rituals. I think there were other rituals going on.
Just doing weird shit. And there's a strange obsession with I'm not talking about youth of like people they want to have sex with, but their own youth and the use of stem cells, blood cord or cord blood, like
they're all
a
getting
lot of
their heads and shit frozen.
That's true. Wanting to freeze your penis, freeze your head, get injected into stuff, drinking stuff, getting injected stuff, putting stuff on your face and stuff that are human products, because they think it has this not magical, but like super duper youth granting property, health values.
I believe we all remember the interview on Ellen when Sandra Bullock just was laughing about how she uses the skin of a circumcised boy from Africa as a serum for her face and how wonderful it makes her look. And that didn't age well. It wasn't great at the time. And then you're like, what? And then I believe she tried to justify it by saying, it comes from really far away. It's fine. As if that makes any sort of a difference. Wild.
But
look it up. I'm not making this up.
No, truly. And it's interesting you say that because the Don Huffines, the Texas comptroller that bought Epstein's ranch, has an investment in Secretome Therapeutics, which is a company that utilizes the fetal heart tissue from babies having heart surgery to use for rejuvenating heart purposes. Perhaps, certainly legitimate purposes for that. Certainly you can harvest them from alive donors while they're going through these heart surgeries. Absolutely. However, you would have a setup to harvest
whatever you wanted.
I'm just saying, it's weird that you own that and also a weird ranch. I'm sorry, a Christian retreat. But that was once a fetal ranch. So it's just strange. That's a whole nother rabbit hole of like these strange obsessions of stem cells and skin and liquids from youth and trying to absorb them into yourself for youthness or for power. I don't know.
Yeah. A lot of them did believe that power and maybe some sort of spiritual power was obtained from innocence. And what is more innocent than a newborn child that has just come into the world?
The Aleister Crowley rituals did emphasize the transgressive nature of acts as being sources of power, as well as transgressive acts against innocence. So, yeah.
A third in-talk complaint came from a woman reporting on behalf of an unnamed friend who was forced to perform oral sex on Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey, when the friend was approximately 13 or 14 years old. The friend allegedly bit Trump during the act and was hit in the face. The friend also said she had been abused by Epstein. Some researchers believe this may be the same victim reported by different sources, though that is not confirmed.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe either he did this to multiple girls or it's a corroboration of the earlier report.
Yeah. I mean, we know he had a lot of 13 and 14-year-olds forcing to give him oral sex. Is it possible more than one bit his disgusting dick? Yeah. I hope they did.
No, truly. I mean, I think he has an MO like Epstein had an MO where everyone that reports on Epstein's like, he laid down and made me give him a massage. And it very much follows like the similar patterns. And with Trump, it was, he started off, he wanted me to give him oral sex first. And then he wanted to, I mean, so he had, just like Epstein, he has a pattern of how he abuses his victims, according to their complaints.
An internal FBI email chain dated August 7th, 2025, compiled by a tactical specialist on the Bureau's New York Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force, summarized these allegations alongside others for a total of 16 unverified public tips received through the FBI's National Threat Operations Center that named Donald Trump in connection with Epstein. This document was released along with the others on January 30th. But removed from the DOJ website within approximately 20 minutes before being quietly restored without explanation.
They would just be snatching them documents down.
5 additional allegations against the sitting president appear in that same August 2025 FBI tip summary. In Mar-a-Lago, an anonymous complaint described a recurring event referred to as the Calendar Girls parties, in which Epstein allegedly brought children to the resort and Trump auctioned them off to a room of older men. Trump measured the children's vulva and vaginas by entering a finger inside of them and then rated them on tightness before the bidding began. The complaint named Elon Musk, Donald Trump Jr., Ivanka Trump, Eric Trump, attorney Alan Dershowitz, and attorney Bob Shapiro as attendees, and alleged that girls were taken into private rooms where they were raped. The complainant provided no contact information, and the FBI was unable to conduct follow-up.
I did not realize that calendar girls, someone brought up a calendar has 12 or 13 months.
I am sick to my stomach thinking about this. These poor, poor children. And like Ivanka is there, who probably had the same thing done to her. So she's like, well, this is just how our world works.
The footage of Ivanka Trump describing her childhood bedroom is still so chilling to me when she's just like, these are my posters and this is this. And that's the bed. And just disassociates until she's brought back to the current present by her, the photographer who's like, what floor are we on? And she's like, the 63rd floor. And you're like, bitch, what hole did you just go down when you looked at your childhood bed? But this is an egregious report. And again, the FBI was unable to conduct a follow-up. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
When you're
say fucking FBI.
Elon Musk, Donald Trump Jr., Ivanka Trump, Eric Trump, Alan Dershowitz, Bob Shapiro, interview one of those assholes. I mean, they're going to lie, but it shows you're at least trying to get to the bottom of this.
Right. Let them lie and then arrest them for perjury and then dig deeper. But it's crazy to me. It's not crazy. I think it becomes apparent that what the Melanie Stansberry and Jasmine Crockett and Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, all of the legislators who are not related at all to this Epstein class, these are like your average Joe that decided they were going to run for Congress, are now facing down what they have come to appreciate as an intentional cover-up by what was supposed to be, although it's kind of always been bullshit, right? Our bastion of, criminal prosecution in the United States. Like, oh, the Department of Justice is like for freedom and for helping people. Bull fucking shit. It has apparently operated as a shield for the pedophilic elite for 15, 20 years, more than that.
Yeah.
And again, anybody that's worked for any administration in the past 25 years is welcome to come forward and say, oh my God, I didn't want to be a part of this. But until you do, you've kind of helped.
Yeah.
You've helped.
No, absolutely. If you knew about any of this and you didn't come forward, then you're complicit in some way.
It's crazy to me the amount of people that call you go like, okay, I've called the FBI. I did what I was supposed to do. What else is a victim supposed to do? They call the people they think are going to help them.
Yeah.
No, nobody's going to help them. And then when you go, what are you going to get your own private investigator? They'll probably kill him, man. Like,
it's when you turn to the Better Day video from Avicii and how those kids enacted revenge. And like, that's when you've called everyone you can call and horror movie style, you realize the whole town's in on it. So nobody can save me. Then I don't know what you do.
And that's what I said. Thank God for all of the elected representatives who seem to actually be giving a shit. The ones that are bringing survivors with them to the State of the Union to go, we're not going to give up. We're going to figure out whatever y'all did, period. And it makes you grateful for somebody like Jasmine Crockett and Melanie Stansbury and folks like that are making it. What Jasmine Crockett said, we're going to be on their asses. And I'm like, and him too, Trump too. And I'm like, because all of these kids who have desperately made these phone calls for the past 40 years deserve someone to give a shit about them. Somebody to be the Elliot Ness.
A separate tip came from a woman who said that at 16 years old, while working as a model, she attended 8 parties at Epstein's New York residence, where she was sexually assaulted by Epstein and witnessed what she described as large orgy parties involving other underage girls, older Victoria's Secret models, Bill Clinton, and Donald Trump.
Naomi Campbell is one that could come forward and say a bunch of stuff that she knows. And if she doesn't, I'm going to assume that she was complicit.
I mean, you would not be the first. She is allegedly, circles report, one of the first to kind of be the yacht girl and traffic her own models to that whole world. The yacht girls are basically women that are on yachts and men, boys, girls that are there to perform sexual acts. But because you're in the water, I don't think the laws apply. And that's why you also can't escape a boat usually.
No, truly. That's why Ghislaine was so obsessed with the Terramar project, where she's like, you can live in the water. But you're right in that that article talking about how these elite enterprises operate. Women like the Naomi Campbell and the Yacht Girls are an integral part, that it can't just run a normal sex trafficking operation, like a non-elite. The one kind of capo trafficante, like the main captain, the Epstein, and then you might have a Ghislaine or two. But really, when you get this broad network, you have to have, it's like literally an organization, like a corporation. You run it like, I'm the CEO, Ghislaine is the CFO, Leslie is the ops manager. Now, Karina goes down and she, is the human resources manager. But at the end of the day, the work that they're doing is sex, not even work, is abuse in exchange for, access or whatever. But you're right. It's the fact that only Ghislaine and Epstein were arrested is crazy, because there are people like Naomi Campbell who Virginia Giuffre said, you saw me get my hair cut. You saw me be abused. You saw me at those parties. You knew how old I was. I told you, and you did nothing. And there are photos of Ghislaine, Andrew, Epstein dragging a young Virginia Giuffre, and fucking Naomi Campbell is standing next to them, right behind him, side by side with them. So folks like that, I mean, not that she's got some big career or whatever, but like, I never want to see that bitch on TV again unless she is saying, I'm here to come forward with everything that I have known, and I feel horrible about what I did, and da-da-da. And it's just like, now versus later, because we're going to find out, sister.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath. No. She's known in that industry, even before all that, as being a horrible person that is treats people like shit. And those that work for her, those that are in her circle, like, it's just, she's been on everyone's radar for a while. And it makes sense, because she's huge in that industry. She was one of the first supermodels, and people are like, well, why would she do it? Because she's getting paid a ton of fucking money. That's why.
And also, you want to be a supermodel, you get elevated to that status by the guy that owns Victoria's Secret, and his best friend, and his buddy that owns all the pageants.
Yeah. But yeah, it really does make you question a lot of like the big supermodels that are now, older and stuff, and like what they went through and saw. I mean, Janice Dickinson has always been very vocal that She was raped by Bill Cosby multiple times. I have not heard her come out and say anything about what's going on, but like her, Heidi Klum, Cindy Crawford, I'm not saying any of these people have anything to do with it. They were just some of the very first supermodels that would have been in these circles. You know, they would have met these men and seen these men. So, like, did they also go through this and they haven't said anything? Are we going to hear about that coming out? Did they somehow escape it and not have to deal with it? I don't know, but it's just been going on for so long and with such a huge pool of victims, many of whom are super famous now. Yeah. Like, who are you?
No, it's why aren't you coming forward? Or even all the support people. There were makeup artists, there were hair people, there were stylists, there were camera people, photographers, lighting
people. Someone
had
to drive the boat and fly the plane.
Truly. Well, Karina, one of his, I just realized I was following Giuffre Epstein's girlfriend on Instagram years ago because I was interested in flying, and she was called Global Girl, and it was just beautiful blonde girl who was a private pilot, and I would follow her and see all the adventures she was going on. And it was just revealed it's the lady that inherited Epstein's whole estate. And it's crazy to see how sane washed it was, how influencer washed it was. And it's like, don't you want to live this life? And you see how somebody might DM her and go, I'm interested in becoming a pilot. And she's like, well, I'm going to be in your town. Meet me and my friend, or I'll take you for a ride on my private jet. And then all of a sudden you're on a fucking island somewhere. And that really is how it happened. So it's crazy how much they make it look like, well, it's just part of the industry. We have to dress like this because we're models, or we have to be at these parties because we're models. Well, I think because you want to get access to stuff and you want to get jobs, so you bring these people, you know, with you. It's
and if that is the industry, then the industry should be taken down and reworked and made into something else. It's the same with like child actors. And now we're seeing so much come to light with the various forms of abuse. So many of them suffered. It shouldn't just be accepted and normalized in these industries that like, that's just what happens because it's sexual abuse. We should never normalize that happening. And especially when it's children.
In the mama movement, which is the Make America Matriarchal Again.
Please, hashtag mama. I have to give credit to my friend Maggie. She came up with it, but I'm trying to spread it. Hashtag Make America Matriarchal Again.
Make America matriarchal again. But I think that's what a patriarchal society is afraid of, which is consequences for their actions. And when you label an industry, not like, I don't think it's wrong to say there was a strong repeated undercurrent of sexual abuse and exploitation in the fashion industry from the 80s to present day.
No,
that's not
very
crazy
accurate
to say.
Statement.
Yeah. So I think you're right that there's got to be rules, standards, ethics, whatever, something like more, I wouldn't say government oversight, but certainly self-regulatory organizations or somebody that's a collaboration of third parties who can't all be maybe implicated.
Yeah.
Although that's a hard ask.
A third allegation came from a caller who described attending a party hosted by socialite Sir Ivan Wilzig in 2004 or 2005, in which Epstein, Sammy Sosa, and Trump were present. The caller alleged several women were being auctioned to those in attendance. The FBI's notation on that complaint reads simply, phone number provided was bad, could not identify a valid number. We're the FBI, but somehow we can't find out somebody's fucking phone number. I could find out somebody's phone number on reverse white pages in like 5 minutes.
The FBI doesn't have star 67. They couldn't fucking look up who called them and look up maybe where it was from. Like, what are you fucking saying to me? Couldn't find. Sammy Sosa perhaps bought a person and we're just like, I don't know, it's probably fine. Whatever. No, I mean, I think this shows again, intentionally, they were ignoring these things. But the auction thing's not crazy to assume given the birthday book. They said there was like pictures of a girl with like a $22,000 price tag and stuff on her. So it's not a crazy thing.
Gross. It's so gross to think of that happening and so many just sweaty, gross, fucking perverted men in the audience, maybe women too, bidding on these young girls. It's so hellacious, and may everyone that participated in that die screaming and afraid.
Yeah, rot in horrible hell, because it was women, it was girls as young as 13, all the way up to women in their, of age, over the 18 into the early 20s, who didn't have visas. They didn't have their passports. They didn't have, where you do become a labor trafficked, where you're doing these modeling shoots and there's no money, but your apartment's being paid for. And also these guys are going to come by and do whatever they want with you at them. And also you have to go to this auction thing. But it's like, you can't even get home. And it's the 2000s. Like, it's not like you can text your family. Like, you got to try to call them from somewhere. It's just the situations that thousands and thousands of women and girls and boys and men were put in, but primarily women and girls, is just horrific. And that our own FBI is like, I couldn't find the number, whatever. Next thing, moving on.
Which makes me question who from the FBI was at these things that you're protecting, or who's getting paid off to protect these people. A fourth tip originated with a limousine driver who reported that while driving Trump to Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport in 1995, he overheard a phone call so disturbing that he said he came within seconds of pulling the car over. On the call, Trump allegedly referenced Epstein and
abusing some girl.
The driver also told investigators that his former girlfriend was an Epstein victim and that one of the victims had been murdered.
And that's the other thing, is when you get a girl from an orphanage in Romania with no paperwork, and then she does something to you don't like and you just strangle her to death, or she does something to you that you like and you strangle her to death on accident during a sex game, there are people that you call and they come and fix it, and they bury him on the ranch, they bury him in the ocean. So it's not unreasonable that this is also a large sex trafficking scheme, but it's pretty well known that sex traffickers don't go, well, I'm going to sex traffic, but I'm not going to kill anybody. Right. I've got morals. Are you kidding me? No, they fucking kill people all the time. Half the emails are Giuffre Epstein just going, whoops, when someone sent him a thing about this person died in an accident, this person died by suicide, and him just going, whoops. And I'm like, does whoops mean looks like I did that? Yeah. Like, what do you mean whoops?
Or, so like, they were killing people. Sounds very like, oopsie daisy, wink, wink.
Yeah, it's funny. Like you said, they want to be like immature and funny. So I think this poor limo driver, like you said, he wanted to get out and beat the guy's ass. But again, you feel this, and Trump was just a businessman at this time, but you're like, I'm going to lose my job. Plus they murdered a girl, my friend, that my girlfriend knows. What am I going to do? I know. I'll call the FBI. They'll do something about it.
No, they won't. And what a arrogant sack of shit to think you can sit in this limo and just say whatever you want and the driver isn't going to do anything about it.
I mean, truly, it's like, do something. I'll kill you. I'll have your whole family killed.
When you're sitting there talking about such and such abused some girl, maybe even killed her. Just the conversation alone is a threat to anyone that hears it. Now you've overheard it's sensitive information.
And it makes you think, like, I got to pretend like I didn't hear anything. Damn.
Another account came from a woman who reported believing she had been drugged and raped at an unspecified event. She recalled seeing, in her words,
a flash
of Trump's face before losing consciousness. The document notes that this victim was subsequently found deceased, with her death listed in the agent's report.
I think people that came forward probably met untimely fates. How do you even begin to investigate all that? I don't know.
The January 30th release of files contained another allegation from an unidentified woman who claims to have witnessed a sex trafficking operation at Trump National Golf Club in Rancho Palos Verdes, California, between 1995 and 1996. According to the FBI's summary of her complaint, the woman described Ghislaine Maxwell as the operation's madam and broker, and named Giuffre Epstein, television personality Robin Leach, and Donald Trump among the participants. Specifically, the woman stated that she personally witnessed Robin Leach strangle a young girl at one of the parties.
For those of you who are not aware, Robin Leach hosted the television show Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, and he had the very famous champagne wishes and caviar dreams. Look at the amazing things rich and famous people are doing, the least of which it sounds like was murdering a teen.
I feel it's almost like they're laughing at us to put him in charge of a show back then called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, where he's literally going around to people's mansions, interviewing them. It's like MTV Cribs, but for billionaire pedophiles. And a lot of those were yachts. You know, so of course he's going to be brushing shoulders with all of these people. And then eventually it's like, well, do you want to keep interviewing the rich and famous and be one of them yourself? This is what we do here. So here you go.
They're like, we liked your coverage, Robin. Do you want to come to the golf club and come to a fun party? And I don't know. This is, I don't know if I heard anything else about Robin Leach, but I mean, I think he certainly had access to this circle of friends and was around these folks. And the description of the operation fits the rest, you know, it fits what was happening at Mar-a-Lago, what was happening in Florida. Why would we think they wouldn't franchise what they're doing to California?
And it shows you that every business that Trump had, trafficking was going on in.
Yeah,
he didn't just have like a modeling agency. It was a modeling agency that was also using to traffic people, or his golf club, you know, or Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, like they're all just like a front to his bigger business, which is trafficking various things.
Yeah, and it seems like if you needed a lot of space for sexual acts to go on, owning a series of hotels would be helpful.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's one of those where it's not like Trump's like, I've been manufacturing basketballs for 35 years. It's like, no, everything that you have, it seems to be related to this thing that you do.
The woman stated that she participated in orgies at the facility with Trump in attendance. The witness alleged girls from the party going missing. She believed the missing girls had been murdered and buried on the property. She further alleged that after she witnessed what she saw, she was approached by a man she identified as Trump's head of security, who told her that if she ever spoke about what she had seen, she would, in his words,
end up as fertilizer for the back nine holes like all the other cunts.
The golf course, perched on the Palos Verdes Peninsula, overlooking the Pacific, remains open and in operation today.
Somebody needs to say, "Oh, I am visually impaired, and this is my seeing eye dog," but really it's a cadaver dog, and just be like, "I just need to go try to shoot some holes at the ninth hole over here and see if they fucking smell anything."
First of all, if you are sight impaired and you're golfing, good for you, because that might be one of the hardest sports to do that way. But if a dog can help you out, I mean, I feel like they could.
You got to have a way to sneak a cadaver dog onto the golf course. So I'm saying just put on some sunglasses, get you, pretend. I don't think they're going to let you search it any other way. But Trump later on buried his wife on one of his golf courses. And I will say again, if, for instance, you needed something to maintain golf courses that had human bodies buried on them and you needed special fertilizer or special anything for it, having an actual body buried like openly on your golf course would be a great way to buy that kind of stuff.
Yep.
I think folks like this need to, I mean, not that Trump's head of security, but people know someone had to dig those holes.
For sure. Yeah. Like
Donald Trump's not out there with a shovel.
The head of security too. And like, if you're in the FBI and you hear this, go dig up the back 9 holes, see what you find.
Yeah. This is all very specific information. I think that you could, with a little bit of due diligence, get probable cause to get a search warrant. Unless, of course, you're covering everything up.
Yeah. Among the more egregious allegations in the January 30th release is a 2019 FBI interview summary and a write-up of the interview. Files EFTA 001476661 and EFTA A012466048. The operator of True Pundit, a far-right conspiracy website with a history of pushing Pizzagate stories, escorted an anonymous man to interview with federal agents. The man claimed to have witnessed ritualistic sacrifice, infant dismemberment, and the consumption of human feces aboard an Epstein yacht in 2000. The man alleged he was sexually assaulted by Epstein, Bill Clinton, and George H.W. Bush, while Donald Trump and Melania were also present. In the interview that took place 17 days after Epstein was reportedly found dead in his cell, the man claimed he was a victim of a type of ritualistic sacrifice in which his feet were cut with a scimitar but left no scarring. On the yacht, he witnessed babies being dismembered, their intestines removed, and individuals eating the feces from these intestines. This is a lot.
Yeah.
This is a lot. And it's, there's a lot of weird food words that appear tons of times in the files. And many independent journalists have made lists of what they could possibly be referencing in code, and things involving babies, their intestines, cream cheese, the stuff that is on babies' bodies when they're born. I forget what it's specifically called. It's like that white film that babies have when they come out. It's allegedly a reference to cream cheese as well as their intestines and whatnot. There's been a lot of people, both in the files and just people that have said over the years, like, this is what's happening, and everybody thinks I'm crazy because I'm talking about it. But now y'all are going to realize, like, I'm not crazy. It was going on, and it's heinous, and it's impossible to fathom. That doesn't mean it's not true.
No, it's true. And I think, and like we'll hear with this witness, I think the folks that go through this stuff, that see stuff like this, it's damaging to you emotionally, psychologically. And especially if, like, just in, it feels like a fever dream. Any of this stuff, the description feels like you're like Sammy Sosa and Robin Leach, and it sounds like you're making it up. But I mean, I think that's also kind of what we talked about last time as part of the ploy to discredit the witnesses. And it is, I think, good to note that there are a lot of non-baby related messages related to cream cheese. Giuffre Epstein really loved cream cheese from this place in Palm Beach. But then there are some that are like, this doesn't make sense in context. The same with pizza. I like pizza. I talk about it a reasonable amount of times for a person that's it's probably my 10th favorite food. It's there's other stuff I like better. But the way they talked about it, and can't wait to come by the island for lemonade from Jerry Seinfeld and his wife and stuff. There is some sort of a odd food word situation that was co-opted purposefully by Epstein and Bannon in their propagation of QAnon and Pizzagate. And they really intentionally, I think, muddied the water. And they tried to, in the 2016 to 2019 era of this QAnon Pizzagate stuff coming out, I think really just hammered home, there's all this is code and there's this satanic rituals and stuff. Because there is just an underlying threads of truth that it's helpful if you could hide in plain sight. So all that to say is this is a, unverified report, whatever. It's very specific. I don't think that it's unreasonable to think that George H.W. Bush, who was in the Skull and Bone Society, and so was his son, so was John Kerry. So, there are these strange ritualistic communities that the upper echelon of society participate in, and that kind of stuff's part of it. I don't know. I mean, the way that they spoke about babies as commodities, as whatever, it wouldn't surprise me if they were like, well, we need the, and the feces out of their intestines because it has this. It's just to them, it's not a huge deal to kill a baby. No. So to us, it's shocking. And this is abhorrent. But it's well, you have to, so you can do this thing.
To them, it's just, it doesn't faze them. But no, to say, I mean, I like pizza too. But I'm never going to send an email with the subject line, all caps, yummy, yummy pizza today. And then say, thanks so much for the delicious cheese pizza today. That's just what we needed. Thank you for allowing us to do that. Who the fuck talks like that?
We'll never forget that experience. And you're like, what was on this pizza? Yeah. And it's I don't know that it was. And all that say, because I think people listening may be a little bit skeptical. We've only had access to the unredacted files. And this is pretty bad text in the unredacted files. Another part of the unredacted files, it didn't involve Trump, so it's not in this episode, but is a description from a law firm having seen an image of what they did to a 7-year-old. And it's 6 men standing around brutally abuse this girl who's being held splayed-legged.
Are you talking about the Skippy video?
I don't know about Skippy video. I was just reading the description of in this attorney's files. It was a footnote to describe what this still was. And this is stuff that's been seen by Pam Bondi, tens of thousands of videos, and it's all little kids. Melanie Stansberg, all these people that have seen the unredacted files. So it's just what we can glean from the redacted version is there was something going on. Evil, violent, deadly in my case, in my opinion. So while this sort of, I think, challenges the imagination, given
Which part specifically? Eating children? Eating
yeah,
human
or like
flesh?
cutting this guy's foot, having them. There was also, he discussed a little bit more in this that there were black men on the boat that were having sex with white blonde women.
Yeah, I believe all of it.
Bleeding vaginally and stuff like that. Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, and that's this upper echelon of people is what that deviant behavior article seems to point to, is it's like, it becomes this like, what's the most extreme thing you can get from me?
Mm-hmm.
So then as an Epstein, like, you don't get to hang out with like two former presidents and a future president. You know what I mean? You're not hanging out with that many people. Like, if you're not getting them something that they literally can't get anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounded like from the Zorro Ranch, they were able to get access to infants. They take them from the mother and walk off with them. And so, you can't go, well, somebody would have noticed if a baby was taken on a yacht. No, they wouldn't have. We have evidence of last time that they were giving birth at this ranch, and Ghislaine takes the baby and is gone.
Yeah.
So where did she go? What'd she do with it?
I think it would be pretty easy to get a baby on a yacht, quite frankly, especially if you own the yacht and everything
the plane?
Up to the point of it getting to the yacht. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
everybody's on your payroll that's involved. I don't think anything I've read is impossible. And I think if we're going to believe victims, we should believe all victims, regardless if you think it is so sensational that could have never happened. If you're going to believe one victim, then believe them all.
Truly. I mean, believe them to the extent that we at least look into every single one of these claims and vet them. If you go into it with a preconceived notion of like, oh, well, that could never happen, then you already have that film over your eyes before you're able to just vet any information, versus going, I'm open to what these victims have said, as whatever it may indicate about the people that we've put into power, because I don't know what to even know anymore. Because you going, there's no way people eat babies. According to whom? Like, what? You don't? Okay, that's fine. I also
Most
don't have
of us don't. I
also don't have a $50 million yacht.
Yeah.
So I think they probably do different things than me. They also don't like wash their own,
clothes.
Like, they don't like, they're not out there waxing their own boat. Like, there's a lot of things we don't do that are the same. So understanding this is like it's not just they call it the Epstein class, right? Or the Trumpstein class of people. And I think class is one way to put it, but it literally is like a whole nother, I don't even echelon. I don't even know the right word.
You live on a different planet. They have
like
a different world entirely.
Different justice. Yeah. Different everything.
I mean, it's like there are many countries on the opposite end of the spectrum that we could say the same about. Like, they're living a completely different life than we're living right here, sitting here doing this. So both ends of those spectrum exist, though, from super poor to insanely rich. And what both ends of those lives look like, we can't really relate to or fully understand, because we're not part of it.
And it is presumptuous and egotistical to go, well, I know that this victim isn't right.
Yeah.
I know what Bill Clinton does on a yacht. I don't know what anybody does on a yacht, because I don't have a fucking yacht, because I'm broke. Like, what? I am not yacht rich. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. I think where it's a slippery slope when we start saying, well, this victim can be believed, but these victims are too outlandish. And then we draw a line in the sand of like, we'll believe up to this point, but past that, nah, we're not going to buy into that.
Or we believe this person, but not this other person because they have a mental illness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because maybe sometimes that they were driven to worsening mental illness symptoms, or I don't know, self-medication because they fucking saw something horrible and have been threatened by it. And I mean, there's just too many victims.
That includes like celebrities that are still celebrities that, I mean, again, is it confirmed? It's their word, but the amount of videos, recorded interviews I've seen from celebrities that are still celebrities to this day saying like, this 100% happens. I've been at a party where it happens. I've seen it happen. I mean, people like Justin Bieber, I think, was a victim to so many things. And then through his art, tries to explain kind of some things that happened. There's a bunch of rabbit holes you can go down with that, including like he and Selena had a baby together, and that baby was taken from Selena and given to the Kardashians, and then they killed Selena, and the clone we see today is her. I mean, you can go a lot of places, and it sounds crazy, and I'm not saying it's true, but I also could believe it because that's the world we live in now.
I am curious about the idea of cloning only because Epstein, as far back as 2018, said that he'd been able to do it. And it's, I'm not saying everybody in science has access to this technology, but if you do have the means, motive, and opportunity to do that, I mean,
or maybe it's not even a clone; it's just a lookalike.
Yeah. Yeah, or a mini version. I don't know. Yeah, because it's not like fully formed. I think the clone has to grow like from birth and everything. But it's like, physical surgery. I don't know. It's creepy though. But to the child sacrifice point, Ronald Bernard, who was a Dutch former banker, his interview from 2017, 2018 came back around, and he described being involved as a banker in these elite financial networks. And he said, I went to one party, and then I went to another party that was a little bit more, upstairs. And then I went to another party. And he finally said, what got him is that they said, well, now we're, it's time to do the sacrifice kind of stuff. And he's like, what? And they said, and it's kids. And he said, when it was kids, I had to quit. So he's, I don't know what
when
what
it
all
was kids too, which implies a lot of other things were sacrificed before getting to that.
Certainly. So it's definitely odd footage. I mean, he is a real banker that really did work with, wealthy people. And for my money, watching his body language, watching him speak about it, it is a person who is clearly disturbed by what they are talking about and who felt a pain about the admission, because he was like, I had to quit because it was kids, which of course this is in Dutch, but it's still the break in his voice when he's like, kinder. Like he just like, oh God, they're doing something to kids. And so I think that's why Melanie Stansbury, and especially you can see she is like holding it back, because you're like, I just saw the fucking worst things. And even like when I'm like, Lauren Boebert's been shooketh by this, and she's been like super Trump follower, since the jump. She seems like she's backing away. I think
I haven't heard much from her lately.
She's been on, she and Tallarico were on, I think, Bill Maher together, and just the footage of her walking out, having seen the files, and she just turned and looked at the camera and was like, Ghislaine Maxwell should never be let out of jail. She's a monster. And I was like, fuck. Because I think you can't unsee this.
No.
I think you can't unsee this.
Yeah.
So it's, there's a lot of, it all gets wrapped up kind of back in, the QAnon stuff or whatever. But it's like that. I think Pizzagate and QAnon they were purposefully put forth by 4chan's founder in conjunction with Ghislaine and Giuffre Epstein and Steve Bannon to muddy the waters with like half truths, half lies. And the whole Q thing, of course, was fake, but the info underneath it, they put just enough in there so that when the real stuff comes out, it's like, it's all that Pizzagate stuff. You sound crazy.
Yeah. And the Pizzagate stuff did sound crazy. I mean, it sounded crazy to me at the time. And now I'm like, it doesn't sound as crazy. And why was it, of all places, like at a pizza place, where they made this fake thing that they were doing? Again, it seems like hiding in plain sight, like you said, doing things in plain sight as just either look what we can get away with to the general public because they're so stupid type of thing.
No, and I do think with the help of Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and Mark Zuckerberg, and all of the tech bros who can sort of control the flow of information, you push what you want to who you want to push it to. The new Last Week Tonight report just was showing like a vastly different amount of information is shown to a right-wing Twitter user than a more liberal Twitter user. And so I think you just use bots and technology to kind of muddy the water and confuse people.
The man said he was describing events recovered from repressed memories, first accessed in therapy in 2016. The FBI recorded that the man had a history of hallucinogenic drug use, and the report noted he was
emotionally unbalanced.
The attending agent recommended no further investigative resources be spent. The document was removed from the DOJ's Epstein library after Snopes first reported on it, with no explanation given. Snopes confirmed that the witness was brought to the FBI by a guy running a far-right conspiracy website, and confirmed with the FBI that the agency never followed up.
I think the connection to True Pundit as the website was the real Pizzagate QAnon website. And by real, I mean like it was very entrenched in that. And I wonder if you are a person who witnessed this on a yacht. This is me being very generous of this read. And you're Googling it and you come upon a website that's like, oh, I'm going to tell you about how the elites are trafficking babies. And you reach out, you're like, oh my God, I have evidence. I fucking saw it. It was Bill Clinton and he was there. And the guy's like, I'll take you to the FBI myself. And the guy taking him to the FBI has no idea. Like, yes, absolutely. You're not wrong. But I mean, you're wrong partially. But like, that's crazy to me that this pundit thought, I'm going to create this website and reveal the truth. And you have potentially an actual witness and you walk them right into the belly of the beast. Mm-hmm. You walk them right into the jaws. Because then the FBI goes, yeah, this is all made up. We're not going to look into this. Yikes.
Before the House Judiciary Committee, Attorney General Pam Bondi insisted there was
no evidence
Trump had committed any crime. No criminal charges have been filed against him in connection with these allegations. The DOJ has stated that some of the documents contain
untrue and sensationalist claims
submitted before the 2020 election. Trump has denied all allegations of wrongdoing related to Epstein. So what do we think?
Sensationalist claims with regards to this group would be like Donald Trump was seen doing 50 push-ups and then he helped feed an entire school of children by making sandwiches himself. That's like, there's no way that ever happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Donald Trump held the door open for someone and waited 2 seconds. Like that, no, that's sensationalist. But I think when the unredacted stuff involves their friend Leon Black chewing on children, allegedly. What is it? But it's, I believe the victims in almost all these situations. And the fact that at every turn it was, and the FBI didn't look into it, and the FBI didn't look into it. It's one thing if one person calls and is like, when I was 13 years old, Donald Trump forced me to perform oral sex. And when I bit him, he hit me in the head. But when like more people call in, like it's at some point, it's unreasonable not to take these seriously. Yeah. And it's like, I was on this yacht party and a crazy thing happened. One person, maybe. Multiple people were like, that's something to fucking look into. What are we doing? When you look at it all together, it's crazy. And there's a literal like 21-page fucking PowerPoint presentation. Trump's not the only one. They have a shitload of complaints against like Leon Black, Jess Staley, like all these fucking people. There's so many dirty people that need to be looked into, but none of them, except this one, currently have the access to the nukes. So this is my concern right now. I think all of them need to go to jail, but this one is my number one goal, to get him to go to jail.
Well, I hope he does. One time, maybe it's one time. Twice, maybe it's a coincidence. 3 times, that's a pattern. And
there's like 16.
It just keeps going up from there. So you look like idiots that don't know how to do your job and are intentionally, willfully ignorant by not investigating these things. And I hope that someone that works there that has some morals and ethics and a backbone does something about all of this.
No, definitely. And hopefully we see justice for the victims, whatever that looks like. My prediction is Donald Trump will either die or be removed from office as soon as the actual inculpatory evidence is revealed that he really did do this. More than what I think.
Like, what would that be? A video of him raping a kid?
Yeah,
but because I feel like people have already seen that.
Or like, I haven't seen that.
No, not us, but people in Congress and stuff that are looking at unredacted files, they've seen that kind of stuff.
And also, I think there is further evidence that even is not in the unredacted files that has to do with Trump that's being held by
There's
the DOJ
a lot of
and
people
FBI.
that have seen videos of him doing, including Pam Bondi, have seen pictures and videos. She said herself, there's over 10,000 and they're all little kids. Yeah. So, I mean, it exists. It's not like the proof is not there. You're just hiding it and you're refusing to release it to the people that can do something about it, which is who, I don't know, because the people that should do something about it are doing nothing.
Well, I mean, so far, Thomas Massie today got on the House floor and said Leon Black's name, said Jess Staley's name out loud. I mean, I think because they have the defamation shield of being on the House floor, that they can come out and say that, because these are very wealthy, powerful people. But that is why Steve Bannon came out loud and said, if we do not win the House, we're all going to jail, because that's who has the power, is the House. And unfortunately, right now, the amount of Republican congressional members that are into looking at the truth are few in number. They are growing every day. The push for exposure is growing every day. And I think it's not a super fast process, but it's also like, I think it'll probably take for the end of the year. I think we'll see some moves to at least investigate or indict some folks before perhaps on state charges, though. That's going to be the issue. But because, New Mexico's looking into this. I think Ohio has begun looking into the Wexner connection. So there's too many now unrelated law enforcement parties that are looking into stuff, so that whatever power Trump thinks he has with Pam Bondi and the DOJ and FBI, I think is short-lived. I mean, it's truly, if Kash Patel doesn't get fired or quit, because again, you don't want to be part of this like big cover up, they will be impeached likely once the Republicans lose the House. I mean, I think they'll lose the House and Senate. I think it's going to be a huge landslide because people are freaked out about this and tired of it, and they want creeps in office. And the only people that are going to do that is like, your average Joe, your Jasmine Crockett's or James Tallaricos from Texas, your Melanie Stanberry's, those folks are going to be the ones to do something. It always is. It's what got rid of Nixon, is the Oversight Committee and the Judiciary Committee. And I think the senators, the second Ron Wyden and the senators get a hold of the Treasury information, I think all the walls will come crumbling down, because then it's terrible that they sex trafficked children, but what they can prove is that they illegally transferred money, didn't pay taxes, whatever. They'll get them on something like that, or traded state secrets like Andrew. So I don't think they're going to go to jail for this stuff, but they'll go to jail for some.
We'll see.
Trump will not. He's going to get away to Qatar for sure.
Well, I think he'll probably die before that happens, but
truly. Well, let us know if there's any other files that you have found that we should address. There's no shortage of them, and I'm glad to see stuff like NPR is actually not only reporting on what's in the files, but also the cover-up, which I think is probably the key to this. It's not often the crime, but the cover-up that'll get you.
This episode of Sinisterhood is made possible with the help of our amazing patrons.
If you're interested in supporting the show, consider joining our Patreon. You'll get access to ad-free regular episodes, weekly bonus content, you're able to vote on episode topics, join our monthly live streams, and more.
Keep it creepy.
Mwahaha.